I learnt a lot about knitting and a lot about myself during my first year, and now it's time to put to practice what I've learned. I want to look ahead and set myself up for success in my second year of knitting. So I've thought about my goals and I've come up with an engaging way to keep track of them and help me stay motivated as a visual and task-oriented person. And I want to take you through what my goals are and why, and some of the concrete plans I have for this coming year of knitting. So this is my knitting bingo card. It includes all the major milestones that I want to hit this year, and also some smaller ones, some kind of more fun and less important ones, just to keep things interesting. By completing rows, I'll feel like I'll get myself some feedback that I've stuck true to the intentions that I set now at the start of the year. And if I drift away from these things and I struggle to finish rows, I know it's time to either reassess and get back on track, or to pivot my goals and intentions. There's a free space in the middle, and whenever I get 5 in a row, I'm going to give myself some sort of reward. I'm not sure what it is going to be yet, so if you have any ideas, let me know. It could be knitting related, or it could be a treat or an experience, and I want to try to steer clear of more yarn as a reward, and I'll talk more about that in a future video. But let me take you through some more of the substantial goals that I have on the bingo card and why I included them. First thing is I want to make more things for myself, not just gifts. So last year I actually knit a lot of gifts. I think almost half, or maybe more than half, of the things that I knit were for other people and not for myself. I really enjoyed it, but I'm just thinking that this year I want to tip the scales a little bit more back in my direction. I want to make things that I know I like. I know myself, and I know what I'd like is a big, comfortable cardigan and other winter kind of garments. It's a shame that half of the year here is so unbelievably hot, so I can't really wear my knitted things, but the wintry knitted stuff is what I like making and what I like wearing. But the good thing about it being kind of a little whiles away till winter is that I have a few months to make something that I want to wear. Next up is I want to make some trendier items that are inspired by ready-to-wear fashion. So things that I've seen in stores or things that I've seen on other people that I really like, and then a little bit more tailored looking, or like they were, sold in a store would be awesome. I think that means kind of more high quality finishes, especially, and some trendy items that have, maybe they're not going to be timeless, but they're going to be things that I'm really excited to wear. That includes things that are multifunctional, and that means appropriate for both a corporate and homeware sense. It's a bit tricky, but I've had to think about some things that I think could work for both. I want to learn some new constructions. First up is a saddle shoulder, but I want to do a circular yoke, and I've actually already made some progress on that. That also leads on to experimenting with different sleeve and ribbing styles and lengths. I also want to experiment more with self-drafting and designing. So last year I kind of mashed up, Frankensteined, reverse engineered a bunch of patterns, and I want to keep doing that this year because I had a heap of fun. And I've recently actually come into possession of a few books that I think can help me do that. I want to make some more interesting fabric. As much as I love wearing stockinette things, I don't really like knitting it. I find it really boring and monotonous, so that means I want to do some colorwork and some lace. As I mentioned earlier, I really want to focus on high quality. So to me, that's about details and finishing. It's thoughtful bind-offs that look really clean. That's double knit or double folded collars and cuffs. And I want to do some button bands and buttons. Finally, the big goal is I want to knit a certain amount. Last year I knit 14 projects, and I was really, really happy with that number. I'd like to repeat that amount of knitting or improve on it, but I'm noting that I want to knit more garments this year, and I also want to focus on slightly more complicated or quality patterns. And so I would be really happy if I knit 10 things. And then to fill out the rest of the bingo card, I threw in some other smaller goals. And I can just tick these off along the way as I happen to do them. So the first one would be to finish a WIP from last year. I was very lucky to finish the year with only 2 unfinished projects. I think it'd be pretty easy to pick one of those up. I just want to motivate myself to do so and to make sure that I don't let it, languish and, sit in the corner all year unfinished. I want to learn a new cast on or bind off. I think that'll hopefully happen naturally in the course of the year. I'm sure I'll come across a pattern that has a new cast on or bind off, as I don't know that many yet. I want to try my hand at some home decor. I think it'd be a fun break from the garments and accessories. And also I have a few things that I need to replace in my house. So, it's 2 for 1. I'd like to try knitting flat and seaming and just compare that to the in the round construction that I've used for most of my garments and just see which one I prefer. I'd love to learn how to do brioche and steeking. They're both kind of scary, and I think I just want to get over that and get past it and see if I like the final product. I'd like to use up my small yarn scraps. I've come into possession of quite a few of them, and I have some ideas for how I want to use those up. And then lastly, I'd like to get myself a circular sock knitting machine this year and learn how to use one of those. And as a bit of fun and to encourage myself to wear the things that I make and to tell other people that I made it, I've thrown a square in here that says that I can tick it off once I get someone to comment, "Oh, did you make that?" Or a compliment that, what I'm wearing, they can't believe I made it, or that it looks like something that I would have bought. I made this card myself in Canva in less than an hour. If you're interested in it, I can make a blank version and send it to you, so just let me know. I still have a few empty squares to fill in at the end. I'm not too stressed about it at the moment. I'm sure I'll come up with something. If you have some really good suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just leave them blank for now. I'm literally going to print this card and I'm going to pin it up next to my desk so I can look at it every day, and I'm going to physically tick off the things that I do. And depending on how fast I achieve some of these, I might have to refresh it or replace it during the year, so we'll see what happens. But goals are just goals, and you need plans to get there. So here are some of the ideas I have for projects that are going to help me achieve some of these things throughout the year. I've queued up some projects, so let's get into it in no particular order. Starting with garments. So first up, this is the project I'm most excited for, and that's because of the yarn. So I came across somebody who was selling some old shop stock of Norwegian yarns, and they had some Sadness Garn Peer Gynt. And as soon as I felt it, I knew I had to have some. It has this incredible airy, crunchy texture that I thought would make an awesome jumper. And she happened to have a jumper's quantity worth of this bright, fire engine, hot red color. So immediately I know off the bat that I want to make something maybe cabled or textured out of this. I'm not sure exactly what pattern. I'm feeling quite inspired by the Moby sweater or the Handsome Chris pullover. So it'll be something along those lines. It'll be textured and cable-y. I'm not sure if I'm just ready to step into it right now. I've still got a whip of my book club cardigan, and that's quite textured and slow going, so this might happen later in the year, but I'm really, really excited to use this yarn, so that's at the top of my list. Next, I want to knit a sweater with lace. I haven't knit myself any lace. I've knit one lace gift, and I think I would like to try out lace in a jumper format. So I'm thinking a lace circular yoke could be nice, or all over lace. And I have the yarn in mind. The yarn is Knit Picks Swish, which is merino and silk blend, and it's in this beautiful dark teal color. A sweater that inspires me is Knitting for Olive's Fern sweater. Although I have recently, for Christmas, I got this Japanese knitting stitches Bible, which is a book of lace and cables blended up into all sorts of patterns, and they have a bunch of circular yokes in there, and I like a few of those, so I might use that as inspiration, or I might just get a pattern. But I definitely think that this silk blend would suit itself really nicely to a lace jumper, and I'm excited to have that in my closet. Next up, I want to make that cardigan I mentioned that's going to be super comfy and wearable, and it's a bit more slouchy and maybe for home wear. I've chosen some yarn that I dyed myself. I actually overdyed a hot pink color over an existing kind of warm bubblegum pink that I didn't like, and it turned out so great. It's a superwash yarn. It's a discontinued Australian yarn called Heirloom Colorworks. So it's come out this gorgeous hot pink, and I think the August cardigan, which is quite simple all over cabled V-neck cardigan, would be really great in this yarn, and because it's superwash, it would be really wearable, and I could easily throw it in the washing machine. And I think those cables, although they look impressive, would be quite easy to knit, so maybe a little bit more of a gentle introduction to an all-over cabled garment. Now, to scratch my itch for colorwork, I'm planning on knitting myself several stranded colorwork sweaters this year. I have a few pattern options in mind that are quite dissimilar, and I also have quite a lot of yarn options. And I was spending a lot of time umming and ahhing and trying to decide. So I just bit the bullet and I just got started with some yarn that I have. But I'll talk you through the pattern options and then I'll tell you what I landed on. So some of the contenders for patterns were the Knit Pearl Girls Nova sweater, which is quite a simple kind of Norwegian style, almost line work yoke. I also really love the Petite Knitters designs. In particular, she has a design called Sasky, which has bunnies and moons. And there's also a design called Bethlehem, which is a much more all-over Norwegian style colourwork. I also bought the Knittivation Stitch Dictionary, which is a colourwork motif dictionary, and it has a few patterns at the end, including a circular yoke pattern, which comes with a chart, so you can customize it using the motifs from the book. So I might lean into that and design something myself. My yarn options for colourwork included the Bendigo Woolen Mills. They have a wool, mohair and silk blend, and I have a lavender colour and a cream colour, which are gorgeous. Maybe not quite enough for a jumper, but we'll see how I go. I've also got a bag of Malabrigo Rios superwash hand-dyed yarns in these beautiful autumnal colours. I think I have a bag of about maybe 8 or 9 colours mixed, which would make an incredible, all-over complex colourwork. But what I landed on as the pattern that I've actually already made a start on is the Sandnesgarn Nord sweater, which is a free pattern. It's available on their website. And it's this gorgeous kind of circular yoke, stranded colourwork. And the colours here were inspired by a finished project I saw of someone knitting the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit. And I came across some secondhand yarn, and it was 1 ball each of all these different colours. And the yarn is Patterns Dreamtime Merino. So when I saw that, I knew I should recreate a colourwork, but I didn't like the exact Celeste colourwork, so I was having a look for DK weight colourwork sweaters, and I preferred free patterns, so this is one I found. And I've just finished the colourwork today, and I've had a really good time knitting it. I'm pretty impressed with myself. And now just to finish the body and the sleeves. And I'm glad I picked this just to kind of get over that hump of my first colourwork garment. And I can't wait to finish it. Next, I definitely want to knit something that's kind of on trend, and a trend that's really been speaking to me lately is a cardigan that has the tie closures. I think they're really cute and feminine, and also eventually you could swap out the tie closures for buttons if you wanted. The cardigan that inspired me is the Celeste cardigan pattern. And I'd love to do this in another bright, bold colour to achieve that goal from my bingo card. So I have some yarn that I dyed. It came white secondhand, and I've dyed it a really, really deep blue, almost purple colour. And the only issue is I'm not sure I have enough. So we'll see how I go. And if I can't do that pattern that I'd like, instead I'll make something else with this yarn. I definitely want to get the colour into my wardrobe. So I could do a neck warmer or maybe a vest. So I've also come to own a huge load of colourful sock yarn scraps. I'm planning on holding 2 strands together with a lot of these and knitting myself a rainbow scrap jumper. The jumper that I really want to knit is Knitting for Olive's Carl Johan sweater. It's a beautiful turtleneck, saddle shoulder, balloon sleeve, gorgeous top-down thing, and these scraps aren't going to be able to be used up in any other way. They're not enough for socks, so I think a crazy multicolored jumper would be really fun to knit and a useful way to use up these scraps, and a great way to get even more colour into my wardrobe. And of course, I need to finish my whip from last year, which is my Sari Nordland Book Club cardigan. It's knit in the shepherd's wool worsted from Stonehenge fibre mills. I'm probably around halfway through my version, which is going to be a vest because I don't have enough yarn. There's a bit of a pattern here. I never have enough yarn for what I want to do with things. So that's definitely on my list of things to finish off also. In terms of accessories, I really want a fuzzy mohair beanie. I don't know if I'm late to this trend or not, but whatever, I want one. And I have a ball of knitting for olive merino and mohair in matching colours. So I'll be making myself a beanie, maybe inspired by the Oslo beanie for this winter. And I think the ideal thing to test my brioche skills would be knitting a triangular brioche scarf. I have a pattern lined up in my Ravelry queue, and I have some yarn in mind. There's a beautiful Alta Moda baby alpaca in a kind of warm grey beige colour that I think will be perfect. And when I got all that rainbow yarn I'm going to use to knit my scrap jumper, it also came with a few balls that are large enough to knit a pair of socks out of. So with that, I want to do some more socks this year. I don't have any particular patterns in mind, but I'm thinking of some Colorwork socks. I want to do some slouchy kind of bed or home socks. I also have some self-striping yarn that I want to do in just a plain stockinette sock. I've got some clogs and some sandals that I'd love to wear socks with, so I'm really looking forward to having some more this year. I also came across some Regia kind of self-striping Fair Isle style colorway, and the one that I got is in a Halloween-ish colorway. It's purple, orange and white, so I'm really looking forward to having those socks for Halloween. Then finally, I'm going to finish off with the fingerless gloves that I started last year, and I'd like those done in time for winter. Now, when it comes to gifts, I know I said I didn't want to do too many, but there is one gift I intend to knit this year. And it's for my dad, who is very appreciative and very much worthy of receiving handmade gifts. I'm planning on doing a mashup of the halibut sweater and maybe the strange brew pattern, just to craft some sort of fish themed sweater for him. He's an avid fisherman, and he also is a bit of a lover of kind of standout wardrobe pieces, so I think he'll really like it. I also managed to snag some more of the Sandnes Garn Peergynt, the same as my red yarn, in brown and cream colorways for that. I do know that this is going to be a very large jumper, and so it's going to take me a lot of time to knit, and it's going to be a lot of stockinette, so I'm putting it off, but his birthday is earlier in the year, so I really should get started. And when it comes to home decor, my throw blankets are almost 10 years old now, and they have holes in them, and my dog has claimed them, so I really need to replace them. But I'd love some wool blankets. I'm just not going to spend the $400 it costs to buy a wool blanket, and I have the yarn for it. I came across some Patterns Fireside Chunky, which is a really, thick, chunky, rustic wool with a really visible ply. It's in a beautiful cream color, so I think that would make an awesome blanket. But because I don't want to spend the next 10 years of my life knitting a massive blanket, I think I'm going to be crocheting this one. So I found a pattern called the Alpenhaus throw, and I love the zigzag texture, and I think a winter throw blanket would be a really fun crochet project to have on the couch, because you could have it on your lap while you crochet. And finally, electricity bills are really high in the winter, and where I live it gets super cold. So another home decor item I'd like to knit is a hot water bottle cover. I love this pattern that's on the homepage of Ravelry. It's a Nordic style Colorwork hot water bottle. I think it'd be great to use up some of the scraps I'm sure I'll have after I finish this Colorwork jumper, or some other scraps I have. And it's a nice cute break from the garments and accessories and other things I'll be doing throughout the year. So that's a glance at what I'm hoping to achieve this year and what I'm planning to knit in order to get there. I'd love to hear about what your goals are for the year and why. I'm really interested in the reasoning behind why people choose the things they choose to knit. So let me know. And you might be asking how in just 1 year of knitting I've come up with enough yarn to, last me a whole year's worth of projects, if not more. And, if you're interested in hearing that story, that's a whole other video, so let me know. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll speak to you guys later.